and stuff.
I like the theatrics and everything.
Not the theatrics, but yeah, just a little bit.
That's kind of accurate, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Sprinkled.
You're that kind of artist, bro. You know, that makes sense.
Jesus
Christ,
man.
Are we live now?
We are live.
Okay. Anyways, welcome to the Noodle Soup Show. Today we are welcomed by Barythaya.
Hello.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you,
dude.
for sure.
Yes,
you
and
so
this
much.
is our first episode with a guest. So,
Oh yeah, official.
Yeah.
I feel very honored to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you.
Of course,
Thank
dude.
you for coming.
Yeah.
I won't let you down.
We're gonna have a great conversation. This is gonna be
Definitely.
fun.
Yeah.
Especially because like you have this whole unique concept with your tattoo shop, mixing it with coffee, dude. What can you give us a little bit of an insight on how all that started?
Well, it definitely was not planned. I will say that.
Awesome.
And now that I have it all together, I can't see it any other way. Honestly, when I started tattooing, when you get into the industry, you go from a corporate life like I had to this, where you're a full entrepreneur. Your income is 100% up to you. So there's a lot of pressure, and now suddenly a lot of planning. And if you know the history of being a tattooer, typically we're like the outcasts and, the last standing artists. Like, we don't really have plans for the future. So I started to think pretty early on in my career that I need to start planning what my future will look like. How am I going to retire? What is having a family like, and then just kind of going from there. I knew I needed to have something to fall back on when I do start a family, to have some kind of income, passive income, and I thought about it, but putting it into motion, starting a business, is just not for the weak.
For sure,
It is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I'm a doer. So, anything that I think of to do, or if someone needs help doing it, I will figure it out. And the idea of starting a business was so foreign to me that it just felt like me, the doer, can't do it.
Did you know that about yourself before tattooing?
About what part?
Like
being
a doer.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I'm the firstborn in my family. I have one little sister, and in our culture, I'm Thai. It's very much like I'm now responsible for the family. So if you don't do it, no one's gonna do it.
Oh, okay.
So you just it becomes part of your personality.
Gotcha.
For sure.
So it's from your family values.
Oh, 100%. You don't have a choice.
Are you family oriented?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
You have a good relationship with your mom, then, I'm assuming.
I do, but we are an ethnic family at the end of the day.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like if you have immigrant parents, the expectations they have on you as their offspring is just totally different from maybe like a more Western or Americanized perspective, where they usually like support the child's dreams and whatever when they're young.
But when reality hits,
yeah, well, I mean, like, for my mom, it's very cut and dry. And then in Asian culture, specifically Thai culture, showing affection also is not really like a thing. They show it in food or like those kinds of acts, but they don't hug. There's none of that.
I'm proud of you.
So, yeah.
What?
Never. I feel like that only came in front of other people who said it first.
Okay.
So, like, if another family member said, "I'm proud of you," she would also just kind of throw it in there. Yeah. But, yeah, so, coming from that kind of family to now I'm a doer.
Yeah.
And it's got its pros and cons,
Right.
Sometimes you just want to relax. But
I am a little curious on how she feels about what you're doing now and how much you've accomplished. And, you got Orlando's Best for 2025 for the best coffee shop?
Mm-hmm. We got it this year, and our first year was last year as well.
2 years in a row, dude. Congratulations.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, in the beginning when I said, I'm going to be a tattoo artist, She was not supportive.
You can relate to that.
Real quick, yeah, you said that you were doing corporate before tattooing. What was that?
I worked in it's like a supply chain position. I worked for a Fortune 500 company. It's called Aero Electronics. I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop, but it was basically just electronic parts from business to business in large quantities, and you just were keeping on top of lead times, things like that. So like you would facilitate purchasing, like maybe Toshiba made pins, and then Lockheed needed all of the pins to make a chip or some kind of part, whatever.
In other words, a huge fucking jump. Dude.
Totally different.
Dude.
And then when I started college, and then I moved to Colorado for like a year, and I got that job there, and then we moved back, and then I continued back in college, but my major was physics and chemistry. So it was like just not even anywhere near arts, It's what I wanted to do, but...
you didn't have that support from your parents?
No, I did not.
I'm assuming that's why you were doing physics then, huh? Was that something more, her just kind of like pushing that on you?
I think sometimes too, I'm not knocking immigrant parents either, but sometimes I don't think they truly understand what they're wanting of their children. They just want something of a status from their children.
Exactly.
Because you're an extension of them. So as long as it's these 5 things.
Doctor
or lawyer, scientist.
Yep. Exactly.
Their science, they're like...
Maybe a dentist.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, the similarities between different cultures is uncanny, dude. Because I think that me and him can speak for the same thing, too. We come from, like, Colombian parents.
Yeah.
And they're both, like... pushing like completely something outside of what art would be considered, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I had the same experience too when I told my dad, I was like, yo, I'm gonna try this tattooing thing out. It was just like, fuck that.
Immediately just no.
I immediately no, and he was just like, you can just sit around and wait for somebody to walk in and get a tattoo. Like, how often do people want to get tattooed? And like at the time I didn't even know how to answer that because I had no idea.
You don't have any idea.
What was like, dude, even YouTube at the time couldn't even fucking tell me like what it was gonna be like in terms of making money, and career and all that, but I just knew that I wanted to do it. And I think that would apply to anything. Like if you have the drive, you could do it.
But you have to have the drive because
I'm sure
you go from a job that's guaranteed hours, guaranteed amount of money. You can plan your money, you can plan everything, and that's kind of like a plus to working that kind of corporate life. That's the trade-off.
It's laid out for you.
Yeah, which I understand the comfort. Some people need that structure, and then I'm a huge rule follower. I love structure, so to go from that to the job that I have now as a tattooer, it's a lot of freedom, and sometimes the freedom is too scary, So
it feels weird.
It feels weird, but then you create your structure, and then you're like, oh, I got it. I can figure it out. But that's the way your brain works. Not everyone's brain works that way.
Yeah.
I've met plenty of people that are great, great artists or great, great tattooers, and then they just don't know how to do life. Like they have to create the structure and don't know how to do it, which you can't really fault them for that because the system, not to get conspiratorial or anything, but
let's do it.
It doesn't set you up to be that kind of person, like in charge of yourself,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just is what it is.
I didn't even know going into tattooing that I was going to be my own boss. I had no idea it was going to be anything like this at all. Like, I think my vision of being a tattooer was just taking walk-ins.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like I was collecting artwork from like Spooky and my previous mentor before, but I didn't know about conventions. I didn't know about traveling. I didn't know about any of the stuff that I'm doing now. So like I just wanted to be creative and get paid for it. You know what I'm saying? So like my apprenticeship with Spooky was like enlightening because he was traveling, he was going all over the world. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh, you could
the whole marketing thing was just a whole new world,
dude.
For you,
like I was just like, oh, you could do all this? Like your career is essentially up to you. You're not an employee for this business, like.
And that excited you?
Oh, so much.
That
so
scared
much.
me.
That's scary. Yeah.
That's real.
And that's interesting too, because like you were at Fallen Sparrow, and like Fallen Sparrow had this like this how do you say it, like this repertoire for being like the most like prestigious shop, especially like in Kissimmee and even Orlando too. Like that was the shop. Like I tried to get an apprenticeship there too before Spooky too, and unfortunately it didn't work out. But Yeah, dude, like you started off at a shop that was like, I'm assuming that probably gave you a little bit of confidence. Like,
I actually had no idea the opportunity that I was given. I really didn't. If I'm being honest, because at the time, the apprenticeship was offered to me, and it just so happened to have worked out the way that it did. And I also know that that's not typical either for an apprenticeship. Ironically, and I don't mean to speak on anyone else's like history or anything, but there was a guy that had been fired like the day that I went in with my friend. So the story is.
So you probably walked in and you were like, "What the fuck?"
Doesn't it always work that way?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, literally, we were opening the door, the guy was carrying his bed out.
Oh my god, dude!
Y'all do tattoos here? Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, damn.
And then I walked in, and my friend was the one getting the tattoo.
You weren't even getting tattooed?
I was not.
Oh my god! Not even getting tattooed. Walks out with an offer to get an apprenticeship,
which
dude.
I said no to because
What?
I didn't. Okay,
Yeah, like-
hear me out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I gave you the context of my life, right? I had always done art growing up, and my it runs in the family. Like my grandfather used to paint murals and put them on the
That's
back
awesome.
of a pickup truck for movies, and then they would just play the trailer of the movie out of the speakers of the pickup truck in the village in Thailand.
What?
And so they would use his paintings as the ad because no one had TVs. So
Wow,
What the
that's
fuck?
so
crazy.
like that's my grandpa, and then my mom is just naturally gifted at art. So then when I was gifted at art, it was like not a big deal. I would draw a rose or something really young. My mom just was not impressed.
Yeah.
But that's just because in the family, it just runs in the family. It's not impressive.
Yeah.
So I kept with the art. I was told I couldn't pursue it professionally, but I kept up with it. Even took Photoshop courses, got certified, the whole nine. And then when I started college, I had accepted defeat. And I had also taken a liking to physics in high school. So I thought, okay, let me go down this route, and I'll just keep doing art on the side, like commissions, what have you.
God damn, bro. Like,
That's crazy,
it's
man.
like mirroring
Yeah.
a lot of my like journey as well too, which is crazy.
That makes me happy to hear, because then that means we're in the right place, because
Yeah.
I've also heard other stories of tattooers that prefer the lifestyle, or which I don't understand it, but
They're married to the lifestyle and not the work ethic about it.
it's not even that. Like some tattooers I've met just want to be known as a tattoo artist. They don't have any passion for art or passion, or like they didn't grow up with the art.
Yeah,
And
that's very common.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that was a thing.
yeah.
And it's like the culture of tattooing is the appeal, which
But I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off,
no,
but it's
no.
almost like that's something that's like new for tattooing. You know what I'm saying? Because like I took a seminar with Carlos Torres, and he's been tattooing for I don't
Ever.
know, forever,
Yeah.
dude. And he was talking about how when he got into the industry, he was getting made fun of for being an artist. They would call him an art fag.
no
Yes,
way.
yeah, and I'm just like
I can't
mind
believe
blown.
it.
Well, because like you know how it is, like
It was rough.
The previous culture was flash.
Yeah.
Was flash sheets on the wall, and like nobody did any more than what that was like necessary. There's a select few like Corey Miller that would do like freehand shit, you know what I'm saying? But like it just wasn't common, and like now kids are like graduating with these degrees in art and coming into the industry
And then tattooing.
So like
so
that's why the
crazy.
bar is so we were just talking about that. The bar is so fucking high now.
Yeah.
Because like now tattooing is like the line being blurred between tattooing and fine art is like almost gone, dude.
It's
So
true.
That's really cool though.
It's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
true. So I mean, when it came to the opportunity for me, it was, I know, not what's the word I'm looking for, like normal.
you feel like a black sheep because of your path, or
No, I mean, it's hard to feel like a black sheep now because I feel like there's so many tattooers in the industry. Like I said, I feel like there's probably every single story of how they became a tattooer under the sun now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back then, 10 years ago, I got into tattooing. It was totally different.
wait a minute, you've been tattooing for 10 years
10
now?
years.
You're an OG, you know that,
Isn't
right?
that crazy?
You know that, right? You're an OG.
I don't feel like
Yeah,
that.
you know what?
That's
I
a
was
long
listening
time.
to, I forgot who it was, but they were just like, if you've been tattooing for 10 years, you're an OG.
That's so weird.
So,
You're an OG, bro.
We're in the presence of an OG right now. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I told her we talked a while. It was a while ago, but I was working at the Hard Rock Hotel. I was working overnights when she got her apprenticeship, and I was already following her because I was following everyone at Fallen Sparrow, and like she's posting like her apprenticeship and stuff, and it was just like so inspiring for me to see all that. You know what I'm saying? Like you were posting. We talked about it too. Like you had posted like some designs of like a tooth fairy, like all this other stuff, and I was just keeping up with it because I was like, damn, dude, like when is it going to be my chance? Like seeing her, like seeing all that was dope. You know what I'm saying? So
that's so sweet to hear because honestly, again, I now looking back, I realize what a great opportunity I had and the way that it happened to me and fell into my lap. You know, I didn't realize it at all. And so like that's what I said when I walked in and then that guy was leaving later on. I ended up getting bored being there because I wasn't getting tattooed. It's a whole day session. Right. We drove over an hour to get there, and it wasn't my car. So I literally was in Kissimmee, had no idea. I had no idea what I was doing or what to do. And at the time, this brand new thing called the Windows Surface tablet was. It was like,
dude, I remember the Surface.
Like the Surface literally came out just then.
So you're telling me tattooers were using that at the time, or
no? So no one had it, but Legion had it.
Okay.
And so then Legion was like, we were chit-chatting previously about my experience with art, you know, because my friend was like, oh, you know, she does art and blah, blah, blah. So then...
It's your friend's fault you're a tattooer.
Yeah, I'm literally like, don't look at me.
Shut up.
So then he's like, oh, well, if you want to doodle on this cool new thing that just came out, you can play around with it, you know, whatever. It's got Photoshop and you can use it like a tablet. And so I guess I ended up just doodling on there because there was nothing for me to do.
Right.
And I didn't bring anything. So
is that what got you the apprenticeship?
He offered me
like he saw your doodles and he was like, yo.
I did a color portrait on Photoshop.
Dude.
And then he goes, oh, you're actually really good. And then he jokingly made a comment about like, oh, we just had a space open up. Literally, because he saw us walking in as
where you're like, that one dude that left?
Yeah. Literally. Oh so he was like, ha ha ha, this guy just left, the space is open. And then I thought it was a funny joke, but then obviously, you know, we're just customers. So then after that, when we left, my friend was like, you should take him up on the offer. Look how much money they make.
Girl, I want free tattoos.
Yeah, like for real. They actually did get a free tattoo.
Are you still friends with this person to this day?
No.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, after that, when we went back for another session, because it's a sleeve, every time we went, I discussed it more and more, and then eventually he's like, okay, we'll come in next Wednesday. So I thought, I'll just finish, because I was in night college. I was like, I'll just work all day. I'll go to school at night. And then...
It's the grind right there.
You know? And I went. He's like, come in next Wednesday. I show up on the Wednesday. It's April Fool's. So then I thought, maybe I'm getting punked. Like, maybe it's not real, you know? Oh, but I showed up, and then I think they were stunned.
They showed up?
Yeah, because
That's
it's
awesome.
Like some random girl, you know? And
he was like kind of serious, but kind of wasn't.
All we did was joke about it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, is this real life? So then I did it. I showed up, and then I think they were all stunned. And the first thing they made me do was clean tubes.
I was just about to say, let's give him something to do right now.
You know what? That's how you know you've been in the industry for 10 years. Because you were cleaning tubes. I came in... We had no autoclave, nothing. Like, I wasn't cleaning any tubes, dude. Everything was disposable at that point. Like, it was rotaries all over, dude. Like, that's wild.
And they were, you know, like, seeing the change. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're good.
But seeing the change and the transformation from then to now. Back then, it was, like, only coils. And then the only disposable part was, like, having coiled tubes. That was a new thing. And then
that's wild.
Rotaries came around, and everyone who's old school, because we hate changes, tattooers,
of course,
you know?
Dude.
Then
I like seeing coils myself.
Yeah. Then it was like anti-rotary.
Yeah.
And then
they called them dildos.
Literally.
I remember hearing a bunch of artists say that.
And if you even dared get one, oh my gosh, they would drag you.
Dude, that's a really good like representation of like the toxicity in the industry, bro. Like that prevent you from growing. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a thing of the past now.
If I could speak on that, because that's my hardest thing to shake is back then, if you did anything that wasn't acceptable in the tattoo industry, because it was like almost like 10 commandments, like this is the way of the tattoo artist's life. If you do anything outside of that, you're a sellout, and they will shame you for it. And one thing that I struggled with a lot was anytime I posted anything, if I posted myself at all, oh my gosh, I never heard the end of it. It was like,
it's like you're full of yourself, like selfie
one,
me,
full
selfie
of yourself. Two, if you have business, it's because you're a woman and you showed your face.
I can't imagine that, dude.
And they're not into you for your art; they're into you for you. And then now it's hard again for me to shake, which is why I'm really glad I'm here, because normally it's just been burned in me.
Yeah.
Back then, I would literally...
The trauma, dude.
The trauma.
The apprenticeship trauma, dude. Fuck.
Thick skin.
Like, they would just drag you if I was busy at all. It was like, it's because you're tits, or whatever. And then it's like, dude. Now... it's the opposite. Now it's like, if you don't post your face, you're screwed. If you don't post 3 times a day, you're screwed. If you don't do a come with me and then you're screwed. And
narrate your videos and shit. But if I could say something about that, since I've been posting content from the podcast, like my books have been fucking crazy.
Well, that's great.
Never has it been like that before, and
that's sick.
I've had clients now tell me like, dude, like I get to see more of you. I get to see who you are as a person. It makes me feel comfortable.
People want connection
coming in, like
100%. Yeah,
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think naturally we're gonna get back into a little bit more of the tattooing in that aspect. But I have a couple questions for you as far as, so I think it sounds like your idea came with tattooing first for XO.
What do you mean?
So when the conception of the idea for XO Tattoo and Coffee Shop, you thought of, I want it to be a coffee shop and tattoo shop all in one. So like,
Not at all.
It was originally just maybe a tattoo shop?
No, the opposite.
A coffee shop first?
Yes.
So talk me through that.
That's cool.
Okay, so as Mike had said, Fallen Sparrow had a reputation for being like the best shop of all time. And when I started, I definitely had no idea any of the impact or any of that. So eventually you do learn and you do find out. So then you kind of feel like a sort of pride staying with that shop. Up until my final days, I was more than happy to be there.
Yeah.
And I just never saw myself making another tattoo shop that would ultimately by definition in capitalism, would become competition if I created another tattoo shop.
Okay.
So, you also kind of learn down the line not to really rock the boat in the tattoo industry because, it's so small.
Like loyalty and all that.
Yeah. And everyone takes things very personally, even if it's not personal.
Yeah.
And you could try your hardest, to do right by everyone, but it's kind of impossible. If you're going to open a business, opening a coffee shop, I'm going to hurt some coffee shop, but even if I have everyone's best interest in mind. So for the longest time, I felt like I didn't want to open a tattoo shop at all. It was never my plan. But I opened the coffee shop because I would find myself always at a coffee shop. It was my happy place. It's where I went to design. I would sit, I'd work in there. It just was aesthetic and the vibe.
For sure, yeah.
But when I moved closer to Fallen, in the area that it's located, there was not one coffee shop for 45 minutes, 14-mile radius. I only know that because when I finally did my business plan and my market research, there was not one craft coffee shop.
Dude, that's wild.
My first tattoo was at Fallen, and I remember that,
yeah, considering it's close to Disney, that's fucking wild.
There's nothing there, dude.
I was convinced Disney has something to do with it. I really was.
Fucking mouse got his grips everywhere, dude.
No coffee shop here.
Well,
why does Disney have that reputation?
Dude,
okay, so I found out that Disney does have a say in a lot of things that are placed around them.
2 a.m. hard time close for bars and everything like that. That's Disney.
No strip clubs allowed within a certain amount of mileage. I had no clue. So I was thinking it has to be that.
Yeah.
But in reality, I think it's just everyone that's kind of that vibe loves downtown Orlando and Orlando Sea and Mills 50 area. Kissimmee not Orlando, quote unquote. So no one was looking to open near there.
Yeah.
And, you know, moving on that side of town, it was so draining to drive an hour almost to sit and design.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, eventually I would like to open a coffee shop, but, you know, it's a dream. And then COVID happened, and I'm a huge workaholic. I cannot help it. So having like 3 weeks of nothingness, of course, I'm going to build my business plan.
Wait, wasn't it longer than that? Wasn't it longer than 3 weeks when they closed shops? Yeah, it was, right?
I'm not even sure how long.
It was
Florida. I think it was maybe like a few months.
I think it was 2 months, dude.
You know, at least for tattooers, we were one of the first people to go down because anything salon type went first, and then
service industry.
That's when I found out we're sex workers.
I found out later on. Yeah. They asked the governor, you know, when can tattoo artists open? He goes, oh, with the strippers
strip clubs,
and the bars, that's when tattooers can open.
That's fucked up.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you look at our icon, it's like scissors and hair combs. So we're categorized as a salon, but now suddenly we're with the strip clubs.
Yeah,
it made no sense.
So the idea for your business came during that time.
It did, because I finally had the time to give myself, you know, to pour into myself and like what my goals were. And I usually was working nonstop or catering to like Fallen. I put a lot of my blood, sweat, and tears in there just because I don't have family that lives here, you know, so they were my family. I created that family, so it was just very like devoted. So then when I was locked away in the apartment, I was able to spend the time to build a business plan. I saw there was no coffee shop. I thought, okay, well, let me just see how much money, you know.
Yeah.
And I also was trying to buy a house before that, and it fell through. And then I thought, well, all this money I've been working so hard to save for this house, what if I just, you know, I'll use that, I'll get loans.
Next best thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually I happened to, we had done this kind of trade-off situation where like every now and then we would make sure the person is not tested positive for COVID. You know, we would get tested, and then sometimes we would tattoo a person. And one time I was driving home, and I didn't drive my regular route home. I drove just the scenic route because, you know, like you never leave the house. And I saw this building that said for lease, and it's literally right there in the intersection I wanted, nearby me.
That's awesome.
I thought,
timing.
okay, I went up, I literally have the pictures. I walked up and looked inside, and it's like an old dusty Bob Evans that was deserted. But I guess someone bought it and cut it in half, so it's like half the size of a diner. So eventually I reached out, and I didn't hear back from the leasing agent, so I went to this, it was a dispensary in the back that was operating out of a trailer in the parking lot. And I just walked inside, and I was like, who owns this place? And they said, oh, the owner of this dispensary actually owns the whole lot. Here's his direct contact info. So I managed to discuss with him because they wanted so much money.
Yeah.
And that's why it probably was not occupied. And I managed to talk him down a little. And we worked out like, okay, what would payments be like? This is pretty much how much, but it was an as-is unit. And I also had never opened a business, so I did not know what I was getting myself into. I thought, whatever, this is normal. And I ended up getting the coffee shop. Took way longer, as construction does.
Yeah.
And then eventually we opened. I was very proud. I'm very happy with it. Obviously, one thing I did do that, because again it's the trauma from like not being a sellout or whatever, I could have used my platform to really push this coffee shop, but I didn't have any ties to it whatsoever. I wanted it to become successful without my Instagram as help. And I know that's it has to do with the trauma.
Yeah.
But I really was like, okay, I need
I'm gonna prove something.
I'm gonna do
sure.
it.
Cool.
Because I had proven myself in other ways already, but this would be like my magnum opus. Is that what it's called? Opus?
Oh, yeah, magnum opus.
Sorry. So, yeah, eventually the coffee shop started to take off, and it was becoming hard to manage between being fully like working every day and then the coffee shop needs me. Even though I was like up the road, basically, if they needed something, I had to leave or go over there, or, you know, whatever. It was a lot.
Dude, especially if you're cranking tattoos, you got to fucking tell your client, yo, give me a second, you know, like,
it actually happened multiple times.
God,
it would be
dude.
like all hell's breaking loose and I have to go over there, and granted it's like 5 minutes away, but at the same time I just no one can answer the problem, fix the problem. So eventually at that point I had met my fiance and we started dating, and you know, he's not in the industry, so I really value that because he can offer some insight that normally we won't see.
Yeah, something outside the box for sure.
And so he's like, I don't know if this is working for you. And I just thought, well, you know, I'm struggling because I don't want to leave, but also at the time we discussed it, and again, he only looks out for my best interests, which I never do.
That's awesome.
And he's like, well, it doesn't really make sense. You're paying extremely high rent for this coffee shop, and then you're also paying rent technically as an artist at a tattoo shop. It's not free, you know. So he's like, you're basically paying double rent. And then we used to make jokes when I was out falling, like, you just need to like work out of the office in the back, you know, because they need me so much. And then I thought, well, there's no room. But then eventually I just was sitting in the coffee shop one night just staring into the openness, and I'm like, what if I just put this over here?
That's where the conception of let me just do a tattoo shop in this coffee shop happened.
It's organic.
I just couldn't let it go. And then eventually I sat down with my fiance and I said, hey, I'm thinking something crazy and I don't really need you to say yes because I'm gonna do it, but I just need to let you know I'm gonna do it. And he had met me after I had done all my crazy stuff, like signing my life away and spending all of my money and all that stuff. So I don't think he had really seen that side of me. So when that happened, he was kind of like, oh, okay, she's going to do this.
Like, she's serious about this.
Yeah, and it's the best decision ever. Not because it's like, I don't know, it automatically just felt right. The moment it happened. Dude.
I love it because you guys are like almost on display for everybody that walks into that coffee shop.
Okay.
Dude.
Okay, yes. It takes some getting used to.
It has to. It has to, dude. Because, like, you know, I work in a private studio over at Workings. So it's like, I've gone past that whole, like, working at a walk-in shop and everybody being in there all the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm so used to just being in the zone all the time.
Yeah.
And, like, now you'll have somebody, you guys are like
all the people big windows and like looking through. Okay,
people call us a fishbowl sometimes, and I'm like, when you say that, I see it
tapping through the.
Literally, it's sometimes there are little kids that are like, and then they're like, hi, but they're just so excited.
Yeah,
of course.
Sure.
Yeah,
because they want to get that experience unless they walk into a tattoo shop.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's new.
So that's one thing I noticed. I've learned so much about intermingling. A lot of people want to be in a tattoo space, but they are so intimidated.
It's so intimidating, dude.
I feel like
I'm so glad you're
we're
touching
the
on
perfect we're the perfect mix where someone can walk in, doesn't have to say a word to me, can just sit and have a coffee and watch me work.
I want to say that's probably what's given you guys so much success, because they're going in there and they're like, it's a coffee shop, and then we get to see tattooing happening at the same time too, and it's so easy.
I mean, another thing that I didn't expect is there are a lot of people that are upset by it that I did not expect it at all, but it has died down. It was
like coffee connoisseurs are upset by that?
I think it's okay, so I will say this.
Yeah, give me some examples.
A lot of people don't know there's a tattoo shop inside still. Some people specifically come to see us because we're a tattoo coffee shop, and then others have no clue. They walk in, and there have been older families, they're usually older, that they come in and maybe they are more conservative or religiously like conservative. They come in, they see it, and then they are aghast. They literally turn around and leave.
El demonio!
Literally.
All right, so I have a question to build off on that.
Okay.
You have 2 separate Instagrams. It's EXO Coffee Shop and then EXO Tattoo Shop.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you
put it together?
Yeah.
Okay, so this
because
is
I feel like that would
help both parties.
Yeah, right?
Yes and no. And it's probably because of that reason. So, my fiance helps me manage the social media, and that was a topic that we discussed as well. I don't think this one's related to the trauma, but I do think it's because for efficiency, if I'm looking to get tattooed, I don't want to have to go through coffee and tattoo photos, and I want to look at the artist's work. It's harder to sift through it all, like, okay, as a consumer, as a client, or even as a tattooer, when you go and look at another shop, you just want to see the work and you want to get to know the shop.
Yeah,
and
that's
true. Yeah.
The only thing that I feel would be acceptable otherwise is photos of the inside of the shop, because I want to see the space, I want to see the artist, I want to see the work. But if it's the coffee shop, we spam the crap out of that page. So it's like cappuccino and then a tattoo, and then people would probably be a little confused. I'm okay with the coffee shop having a few tattoo photos here and there, or even events that we hold, because we have a lot of events that we do. I would be okay with that, and then it makes people curious. They click on it, and then they are led to the tattoo page.
Yeah.
So then it's more curated. You know, they can look at the tattoo page and see what they need, which is all of the info.
And I'm sure even for like booking an appointment, it might be easier to have one specific page for tattoos.
Yeah.
You just go there.
It makes total sense why you guys made that sacrifice like that.
Yeah, I think definitely we could put it together, but at this point now, after 4 years, we'll be 2 years of the tattoo shop in December. So at this point now, we have a brand, thank God, but we have one, and people now know us to be both. And when people tag us, they tag both, which I love. I'm very grateful.
Did you tag both?
I tagged both.
Oh, see, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. Does that mean it's 2 separate LLCs as well, too?
So initially I had planned for it to be like that, but when I was speaking to my accountant, I can have my original LLC be the umbrella and then do business as both.
DBAs,
yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Before accounting and everything, because I initially was like, okay, I gotta go make a separate bank account, do all this stuff, and then when I went to the bank, they're both like, the accountant and the banker are like, what are you doing? You're
That's good.
overcomplicating it.
That's good.
But yeah.
Let's. I want to dive a little bit into more her style of tattooing.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
So you do.
No, I'm sorry.
Go
Just
ahead.
Quick question.
Yeah,
Go
sure.
ahead.
How? Okay, so you have the coffee shop first, right? Which kind of gives me an idea. Staffing for the coffee shop was one thing.
Yeah.
And then staffing for tattooing, like how was that? Like finding your artists, and was that a whole curation thing? Was that just I need to fill in?
She's
the
surrounded
seats.
by all the homies. I know you're cool.
So
with
I'm
all
not a
of them,
tattoo
dude.
artist.
Yeah.
I know that because I know Jovan from high school.
Yeah.
And I know Tyler from my apprenticeship. You know what I'm saying? And I know the girl that does your permanent makeup. You used to work with her as well too, right? So she's got an awesome team, dude.
Okay.
Which
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I love them.
Yeah.
I love everyone. I mean, also, okay, so when it comes to staffing on the coffee side, it's very straightforward. It's just like a regular business. Again, as I mentioned before, with the tattoo industry, it's like highly sensitive. You just have to be very careful.
Right.
So when I first started doing construction and things like that, I did not want to, I wanted to discuss it openly with my peers, but I did not want to make it seem like I'm gonna poach anybody, or I didn't want to go behind the scenes and talk to anyone.
It's so wild how we all have that worry.
You have to be worried, because also it's almost like you don't mean it in a personal way again.
Yeah, but
it's
you also
just
have a business to run. Yeah, for sure.
It's just business, but also people, especially if it's me, I'm an OG, but still there's someone before me and someone before them and someone before them, and it's all hierarchy. as much as the new tattooers don't want to admit it, it just is the old school way. And so when you do things like, I'm going to open up my own studio, like, it rubs people the wrong way. They don't understand it, but it's just because the ancient rules say so.
Yeah. The ancient Hawaiians.
Yeah. So you kind of try to follow in the footsteps of, like, what is right, what is wrong.
I don't think the new tattooers give a fuck, dude.
They don't.
Because they're kind of private studios is like... Well, the wave now, dude.
Yes.
Fuck, dude.
I could talk your ear off about that.
Yeah, dude.
But it's like, I mean, you also have to reflect as someone who's been in the game for long enough that you're like, oh, do I just not like change? Or is this actually bad for our industry? You know, you have to really think, like, what is the problem? Is it what's been ingrained in me? Or is this, like, actually bad for us as a community?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it's a matter of evolving too, because walk-in shops are dying, dude.
I know
they're dying, and which is sad too. But
it's sad, but also, is that just change?
It really is. I feel like Instagram changed the game for everything.
It did.
So it's like people are just reaching out through there now instead of just walking into a shop blindly, you know?
Yeah.
So.
But to speak on that and bring it back around to having, like, a group of people, I definitely feel like the staffing, the way that I went about it, I went by myself. I just, like, left, and I was there in the shop by myself for a while. And then eventually, you know, I have a couple of artists that ended up either they were, like, gonna leave their shop, and then I'm like, hey, well, if you're interested, I got a place. And then I mean, like, everyone's pretty much my friend. Oh, and then there was one, Danny. I love him. I had never worked with and never had met. Everyone else I kind of already knew, but Danny is awesome. And he had his own, like, I think, like, private shop as well. And then had said that he was interested in working in a space with more visibility, because it's, again, that studio, the right shop, dude. That, like, going to the private studio thing, doing my own thing, you know, like, I personally feel you have to have a really well-established clientele to make that work, and be online a lot and be in front of people's faces a lot. Otherwise, if you're, like, starting out, you don't have the clientele, or you need the walk-ins to start building yourself, you need to be in a shop. It's just, especially now with how many artists there are in Orlando. So,
and how cutthroat the algorithm is now too.
Oh my gosh.
Your face isn't in it, we're not showing anybody.
Yeah, and then it just makes people that are true artists that don't want to be in front of a camera, it just is, it's like, it's basically a guillotine.
Yeah.
You're done. You have to do it.
And that was like my whole thing, because, like, before I didn't really feel comfortable being in front of a camera. I was like, I'm just gonna be this badass fucking tattooer, this badass artist, and I'll be fine. And it doesn't work anymore.
That's literally how we've all felt.
Yeah,
you know, and it's just not enough.
Yeah,
but so I think staffing was super easy for me.
So I just
which is definitely contributing to your success, dude, because you got a solid team with, like, really good dudes, and that's awesome, dude.
They all have a good head on their shoulders.
So I want to touch on just real quick one more thing, I guess. So I'm hospitality, in the hospitality industry. I know it's very natural to get into tattooing, which is I love hearing about it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No, she's versatile though, dude.
No, I love it. Dude. I love tattoos, and I love being in a tattoo shop, which that's why I love your concept, because coffee is a huge passion of mine. So the fact to be, like, the idea of being able to go into a coffee shop and then just see tattooers at work and everything, that's really cool.
Thank you.
So you opened the coffee shop first. You were always at coffee shops. That was your safe place.
Yeah.
So how did you go about, like, thinking about, like, you know, sourcing your beans and building connections to get all these variables going for a coffee shop, a craft coffee shop at that?
Yeah. So, I mean, until you work at a craft coffee shop, you really don't know what goes into it. And I did not have barista experience before, so it was even more difficult, I feel, because I didn't even know where to start. I will say I had my childhood best friend. Her name is Billy. She lived in Tennessee at the time, and she had plenty of experience. Like, since we were teenagers in high school, her first job was a coffee coffee shop in the mall. So I hit her up and I said, hey, I have this crazy idea. If I open a coffee shop, can I fly you down and, you know, like you help me open with workflow and everything?
Sick.
And she said, absolutely.
So
Hell yeah.
And so then it was only like $70 to fly to see her. I flew over there for a few days, had her train me. And then the coffee shop that she was working at was starting their roasting program, their coffee program.
Yeah.
And so I naturally was like, I love this coffee, so I'm going to go with them as my roaster for now. I had taken on a lot of costs because shipping from Nashville to Florida, I didn't realize that I didn't have to do that. But I loved their beans so much, and it was so unique. Compared to the kind of roasters that were in the area at the time.
Yeah.
So I just went with what I knew and loved, and everyone loved the coffee, but it was becoming really costly, and we were growing just like minimum 50% every like 6 months. So that's a huge growth. And I just, you know, I needed to find a more reliable source instead of overnighting coffee, and it would be like 100, like it's a lot of coffee.
I'm sure.
So you know, I ended up seeing this roaster that was local. His name was Landon.
I know Landon. I've worked with Landon.
I love you, Landon. He just moved to England, London, and couldn't be happier for him. But he was my roaster all the way up until a few months ago. He worked with Nathan, who's now my new roaster. Love you, Nathan. Who was the owner of Credo, if you guys know Credo Coffee from downtown. So I ended up going over to Landon. We made like a custom blend that we called the Exo Blend. Mm-hmm. And then eventually he handed me off to Nathan when he stopped roasting. And then we created another new blend. So that's where I went to source my coffees from.
Cuppa Coffee.
Yeah, Cuppa.
Oh, yeah.
And then now Credo Coffee.
Nice.
So now we have a new blend that is exclusive to us, and we're making it like, we're trying to make it like kind of tattoo themed, honestly.
That's cool.
And I would love for the tattooers to design artwork for the bags.
Yes.
And then it's like a perfect marriage, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I started with that. But initially, no concept and had no idea. Like, she helped me with my espresso machine, what my batch brewer was, my grinder, my Malconigs, like all of those things. Not to get technical, that probably means nothing to you.
No, this is.
But for
I'm out of my own language.
Yes. So I ended up taking on like so much debt, obviously, because I'm like, let me just finance all this machinery, and then you find out quickly that an espresso machine is like
20 grand base,
car.
dude.
Yeah, we noticed that too. Yeah.
Which I'll finally be debt free from that in December.
Congratulations.
Yeah, woo.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But yeah, so that was another thing I incurred. And then with the hiring process, I can't remember if she was there for that. I think I hired on a manager. His name is Josh. We're still like besties now. And Josh helped me with staffing. And then now, funny enough, one of my first baristas ever is now my best friend, and she is my maid of honor.
That's so cool.
Super sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks
Love
for
that.
answering that.
Yeah, of course.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I definitely fell out of my element with that question, but
That's how he feels.
yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, I spent a lot of time in shops.
He knows a lot about tattoos
I spent a lot
now.
of time in shops. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, that's cool. I
but
feel
some
like,
of it, yeah, like tubes. I don't know what that was. Cleaning tubes.
I love that.
Like,
I love that about our partnership, because like he brings something new aside from just tattooing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Our podcast is just more than that. You know. So
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's a good balance so that it doesn't get like boring.
Exactly, because there's too many tattoo podcasts out there.
Really? Are there that many, though?
Anyways, I feel like there is.
Really?
No? Yeah.
What?
All right. Well, we're different than the few that are out there, then, I guess.
Yeah, it's the Noodle Soup Show.
The Noodle
That's
Soup
right.
Show. You know what? Talking about all that, I did want to get into some of your tattoo stuff, because I see that you do a lot of color realism.
Yeah.
Is that just like, was that off the bat what you wanted to do?
So, yes, it was.
Wow. Okay.
It was, but you know, when you first learn black and gray, you're like, wow.
It's easy. I feel like
does everything else seem easy after
You know
that?
what? I feel like that's frowned upon.
You were
No,
thinking
no,
it.
say
Yeah,
it.
I feel like it's frowned upon because like black and gray, the general idea of it is kind of easy. Mastering it is a different story.
Okay.
Right? But like the general idea of it is like, oh, okay, you do your dark over here, you do your mids over here, and then you fade to skin.
Really?
And then that's it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Let me just speak on that, and I don't want to get controversial because there's a million ways to do black and gray these days.
There is.
Okay.
So it can get complicated. But I will say comparatively to color work is very messy, very hard to deal with. It really tests your patience. And so when apprentices start learning color work in black and gray, immediately, it doesn't matter how good they are at color work, they're just like, fuck this. It's so hard.
Yeah, because you could think to yourself like, all I need is a bottle of black and I'll just cut it. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. You
Would
know
you
what
say
I mean?
the same goes for like color realism and let's say like American traditional? I know American traditional uses a lot less color.
No,
it's
but
more like
yeah,
pops
I
and
would say
more
it still
black.
applies because like it's still going to be messy. You know, like
It is, but I feel like technically speaking, American traditional or even sometimes anime pieces, you set yourself up for success in your line work. When you make your line work, you kind of know this is where my colors are going to go.
Yeah.
With
Color by numbers.
Color realism, if that
much, bro.
stencil is gone, you're done for.
There's a meme that goes around where it's like color realism artist and it's like a hand from like Iron Man and only the thumb is done and the other stencil's completely gone, dude. And it's like, oh my god, I feel bad for whoever this artist
Too
is.
true.
hilarious.
It's actually true.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's when, I mean, it definitely tests you. And then you're like, maybe I don't want to do this. But then I knew, so this is where, for me personally, because I'm a doer, I thought if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be
Barythaya.
But it's because, I mean, I wanted to do Renaissance work. No one had done it at the time. It was like, no one. And I really wanted to do it. It took me forever to be at the speed I'm at now. And I constantly lecture the people around me, like all of my homies that I work with. They probably are super annoyed with me. But when I talk about it, I'm like, these are your phases of tattoo artist life. You know, the first year you get a little faster. And then the third year you realize you can get even faster, but you're still normal speed. And then you feel like by the third, fourth year, you also know what your identity is. But up until that point, you're like, I'll take anything. Give me anything, I'll tattoo anything.
Yeah.
And then when you're at year 3, then you're like, well, who am I as an artist? And then by year 5, you're like, okay, now I have a built clientele around what I want, but it's not fully filtered out. I'm still doing a little of this, a little of that, but mostly now I'm doing what I want.
Couple $1 here and there.
Yeah. Gotta pay the bills, you know?
Right.
And I want to just make sure
Dream
my
catchers.
lines are still good. I'm not rusty, you know?
Yep.
And then by year like 7 to 10, you're like, this is my brand and this is who I am. And then you need to figure out how good am I in the space that I'm in. And when I realized by year 7, 8 that I'm like, okay, the people around me are winning shows. And what is it that makes them win the shows? I watch them. They're very fast and they're very good. And they can charge what they charge because they're both. If you're very slow and very good, you cannot charge that much because it'll take a million years to get that done.
Dude,
and then,
that's crazy because I've heard artists out there that still charge an arm and a leg and they're slow as
it kills me because I am a consumer first. I'm a customer first before I'm a tattoo artist. Before I give a price, I think, would I pay that? And I have to be honest with myself, you know, and you have to be hyper aware of the economy, of people's money.
Good for you.
Because
that's not common, dude.
Yeah,
that's not common at all, dude.
Because I've noticed time and time again, if there's one thing I am, it's an observer. And one thing I've noticed in the industry is sometimes people are very short-sighted in their income. They don't plan their income. And so they think, well, I'm going to charge what I charge because I'm worth it. And then after that, the client never comes back and they never tip the artist because they can feel that you don't care for them in that way. It's more about you and your work and less about...
You're in my chair now.
I can't relate to that, bro. That's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But it does happen, and then, you know, they don't discuss it that way, but you can just sense it in every action that they choose that ends up with...
I believe it.
You know?
Yeah.
Because when I first started, and you're at the bottom, when you're a first-year artist, second-year artist...
You're a little gubby.
They will literally throw whatever they don't want to do at you, and you better do it. And then the mindset that I was trained in was every tattoo is an opportunity for you to do your best, and then when you do your best, then someone's going to come back. And I built a clientele so fast because I had so many college kids that were like, I can't afford this. And I would go, this is what you can afford, and I'm going to give you the best version of it. And then they kept coming back, and they would bring their friends. And then guess what? They grow up with you. Those college kids, when I started at 22 years old, 23.
They have families now.
No, they have families now.
But
Guess
full
what?
careers with the money bags, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's long-term thinking.
The hell yeah.
There
That's
have
awesome.
people like, I tattooed a girl, her name is Erin, today. She came in to me where she's like, I just want to get this little cap on my arm, and after that I'm done. I'm getting married soon. I just want to get it done before that. We are literally on like her third sleeve.
Yep.
And after that, she's like, I'm done. And today she said, we need to book for my fourth leg, for my final leg.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, it's been like 7 years of working with her, and I feel like it's because you make them feel at home, and you make them feel taken care of.
Yep.
If I was charging her insane amounts, she wouldn't be able to come see me, you know?
Yeah.
But nowadays, I think too, the mindset that people had back then has to shift now. It's unknown territory right now.
I think there's a little bit of sales that goes into building these clienteles, building these relationships, building these projects, because like for me, like I went from doing 1 or 2 pieces to doing sleeves all the time, dude, and it's just like I'm fucking grateful for it, and I feel like I can relate to that too, because like people will come in, they just I just want to get a forearm piece. You know, I just want to get a half sleeve, and then it ends up being sleeves, and they're like, you're finishing up one sleeve, and they're like, dude, so for the other arm, I'm thinking this, like for like my chest, I'm thinking this, and like for my, you know, like it's crazy. It's
well,
crazy.
I'm sure they want to see the cohesion between their art that they're getting between, you know, body parts and stuff.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: so that mentality, that ethos, is that something that you just keep for yourself, or I'm assuming that maybe you just instill that into your shop and into your staff and at the shop as well, or how does that work?
Yeah, I feel like I don't like to be overbearing.
Okay.
I'm very hands off. I don't like micromanaging people like at all.
Yeah.
But I do have this sense, I guess, that I need to sometimes offer guidance. I'll offer it, but I'm not gonna, you know,
but you
drill.
let them price out how they want to price out and do their thing. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, because sometimes too, like it's also probably past trauma, but back then I wouldn't be even allowed to charge what other artists would charge, because they're like, you're a junior rookie, you know, you shouldn't be charging what us the pros charge. And for so long it was just burned into my brain, I'm not as good as them. So I was undercharging for a while until I got confronted, and I actually got scolded for not charging more expensive than other artists that were charging a lot. And then I was accused of like undercutting because I wasn't charging what they were charging. But then I was conflicted, because before you told me I wasn't good enough, so I'm not charging what you guys should charge because I'm not at your level. But now I guess I've made it to your level, so now I need to be charging what you charge, otherwise I'm too cheap of an artist. So that was a huge transition for me. But now I think because of what I struggled to go through, sometimes I do have a habit of like not charging an insane amount. But again, I feel like I'm being extremely considerate of the customer and the situation that tattoo artists are in now, that I don't want to overcharge anyway, because it is sales too at the end of the day. And like I admire and respect the people that give a price and they stick by their price. You know, it's fine. I'm never going to look at someone who says, like, I'm going to charge XYZ for this, and it's maybe $300 more than what I would charge. I would let them do that. But then if the client after doesn't commit to the price and they're like, okay, well, you know, it's hard because you can't really step in if a tattoo artist, they have to be well-rounded as a salesperson as well to be able to counter if that person says, I can't afford that, for them to say, okay, that's okay. Here's what I can give you for the price you can afford. And if that doesn't come from within them, I can't step in. We're in close quarters, so it's we hear everything. That's the only downside, is we can't have private conversations really, because it's like this, literally. Like, they'll say something and then we'll just literally
I would probably like I would join in everybody's conversation. I'd be like, what, girl, no way.
We literally do.
Yo, for real.
So I feel bad sometimes, because sometimes they'll say something and I'm like, but why would you do that? Or, you know, and then they'll look over like, well, who asked you? But we just all do it. It's really funny. It's like a never-ending podcast, really. But yeah, so sometimes if I hear that and then they have the opportunity to counter, and then I want to jump in and say, well, this is what you should do, you know, and try to coach them. I can't in the moment, but if they were to, you know,
you technically could, but you're doing the right thing not doing that. Because a lot of I've experienced that before.
Yeah. But later on, you know, after, if they've lost the sale, then later on I can talk to them and say, hey, you know, this is what I would have done, and, you know, maybe do it like this. And we're all so close that usually everyone is like, yeah, I realize I should have done that.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. You know, because we're all trying to help each other succeed, and we're all trying to help feed each other too.
That's healthy.
It's good. I mean, like, I think every single person that works there is open to critique, but I think the way we deliver the critique too is not in a shaming way, which I love, because, you know, I've been
the healthy side of tattooing.
Honestly, because like that's like not what I'm used to seeing.
We definitely rag on each other. That's normal too. In tattoo shops, we'll like talk a lot of crap. But when it comes to the serious, it's fun. And it's a lot of banter, a lot. Yeah. Sometimes I feel bad for customers, because I think like we also like, I don't know if it's really a con, but because we got so many people that are like new to tattooing that want to get tattooed and they're finally making the jump. They might come into the shop and then it's a lot of abrasive conversation. They're like, am I allowed to talk about this here? And we're just like talking about everything. And then, you know, once they get comfortable, then they're like, oh, I can say a cuss word, you know, like, it's really funny. But in all seriousness, when it comes down to things like pricing, you know, we'll definitely text each other randomly, like, what would you charge for this?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
good.
just to make sure we're all on like the same.
Is it all booth rental over there? Or okay, so nobody on a percentage?
No.
Okay.
I feel like it's just, again, I don't hover really like that. I feel like the cut and dry I jive with the most. I'm a very efficient person. So if I give this is the price, we agree on the price, then there's no weird error. It's just, it is what it is.
I'm a little surprised, because I thought you guys would have like a walk-in guy, like just anybody who comes in for coffee and says, you know what, fuck it, I want a tattoo, you know?
How many, well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I was going to say, like, how many clients would you say you've gotten just from people just going to the coffee shop for coffee, and then they see tattooing going on, they're like, well, shit, I want a tattoo.
I've always wanted a face tat.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, that's
all
why.
the time. My coworker Jovan, he mentions it a lot, that he's like, a lot of them are impulse buys. Like, they'll come in and they're
that's
like,
crazy.
Right now. But the only thing is, I mean, now it's been slower. I feel like in the tattoo industry, like as a whole, the last couple months have been like very strange.
Yeah.
But still, like literally yesterday, there was a girl that came in and she's like, I just want to get a little coffee cup. I leave in 30 minutes to the airport. And I'm like, girl, I don't.
Bro, the stress. Pinterest, get out of here.
You know you have 30 minutes?
Yeah. So I just told her, I said, I'm so sorry. My client was in the chair.
Yeah.
And then I
No way.
That's why I'm surprised
dude.
you don't have someone taking like.
Well, we do. It's just, here's the thing too. When it comes to, and again, I support the rights of the artist as well. I'm not like, I'm not trying to be like a scary boss, because one thing about 1099 contractors, you cannot dictate pretty much anything in their lives.
Yeah.
You can have a contract maybe, but you cannot tell them you have to be here these days during these times.
Yeah. I didn't know that when I started.
Me neither. Listen,
Yo, for real, like some of the people I worked with in the beginning, dude, like, yo, you gotta work this day, this day, this day, this time, you know, like.
That was my life. That was literally my life. And
yeah.
I didn't realize it until like last year.
They exploit your passion.
Like you were
really-
exactly. I was just about to say
but-
you're just grateful to be there, so they just exploit that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well,
bro.
to play devil's advocate, because I'm a business owner now, I understand both sides, because as the artist, you're like, you can't tell me what days and times I can work. I'm in charge of my schedule.
Yeah, I'm an artist.
We could do that.
But from a business perspective, let's say nobody wants to come in, and then now the shop is empty.
Okay, but that
Then
goes.
what?
But
Gotta
that
make
goes
that
back to
money.
like, should non-tattooers have like, should they be owning shops?
What does that have to do with it?
Well, because like they rely on you to come in and make some money for the business, you know. But
Right.
if the owner is a tattooer, like for example you come in and you make your bread.
Yeah.
You're not relying on employee 1, employee 2, or artists or whatever to come in and make you bread. You know what I'm saying? So you're a lot more strict with their schedule.
Well, you get rid of that problem by having booth rental. Then
Yeah, but they
it
make
just
less
is
because
what
they're
it
gonna
is.
have to pay that rent.
But
Yeah.
there's less money in booth rentals than there is
It's
percentage.
true. And that's why I feel like you have to be careful about who is the owner of the shop too, because
a lot of people coming into the industry don't know that either, and that's why they get
Yeah.
bitter and they open up their own private studios because they
It's
say
true.
fuck you, like I want to make
Yeah.
100%.
So touch on that a little bit, just so we can get a little clarification. Like someone like me, right? So there's less money in booth rental
Yeah, for sure.
than percentages, but it
I feel
depends
like-
on the owner.
yeah.
And not a lot of owners. So
Booth rentals, I feel like, are offered by artist owners, and I feel like percentage most of the time is because there's someone else in there that doesn't tattoo. You know, that's my experience from
Percentage?
what I've seen. Yeah.
Interesting. That is not what I've seen.
Okay.
okay, what
But
have you
I-
seen?
Tell me about your experience then. What do you mean?
Okay. So I feel like I've done both, and percentage I feel is very nice when seasons are slow.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Okay,
of course,
so
yeah.
when it is slow, there's less pressure for you to pay, because if you don't make money that day, you don't owe any money.
I think that relies on you being a fair owner, though.
Yeah,
It does
so
rely on that too. You know what I'm saying? Because you could do the same thing if it starts getting busy. You know.
suddenly turning it into a booth rental.
You could do that. You know what
You
I'm saying?
could, but that's like 101 on how to like.
Not ethical.
How to maintain like a good like structure for your
Ethics.
business, for
Yeah,
sure.
because okay.
Yeah, but we're talking about people that don't necessarily have that kind of morale, dude.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, but at the same time, nowadays, I feel the power is not really in the owner's hands anymore.
Not anymore.
I really don't think so. So at this point, you don't get to like dictate that. I mean, you could do whatever you want.
But
as
that
a
goes back
business
to
owner.
what we were saying, where
But
it's
then
like
they'll
that's
just
why
leave.
that's why there's less and less walk-in shops.
Well,
It's true.
Yeah.
But then I think we're also going to see another shift, because tattoo culture comes from everyone being together, doing things together. And, we're going to see that die. And when it dies, there's going to be a resurgence. It's just what it is. It's like the breath. It's the circle of life.
Dude, it's fucking boring working at a private studio alone or something. You know
It
what I mean?
is.
Like,
yeah.
fuck that.
That's
dude.
why-
That's career. I feel like that's career suicide, because like, how are you going to get any better? How are you going to progress and grow as an artist, dude?
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Unless
That's
you're a
real.
traveling artist that works shows and then you meet people.
Yeah.
That's the only way. But I also agree with you. I think the culture of being in a shop is so nice and unique.
Yes.
It's like you're
Yeah.
never going to get that anywhere else. But at the same time, having your own studio, you truly feel like you're your own person, what have you. I think it just really depends on the artist and their journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they have shifted a lot towards catering to the artist. Before it's because of social media, in my opinion. Before social media, you only knew shops' names. You barely knew the artist names.
That's true. Yeah.
Like Fallen Sparrow, you knew the shop, you knew the reputation of the business, you knew Pride and Envy, you knew the reputation of the business. You didn't know anyone inside, and you just thought, that's a good tattoo shop. I've heard good things. I'm gonna go there.
Yep.
And then you find out who works there.
And you spend like an hour looking through the books instead of looking at their profile minutes beforehand. Yeah,
Correct.
for sure.
Man, you're so right.
It's
yeah,
true.
dude.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you don't need that because you can find that individual online. So now it becomes more about the artists themselves. So then the power has shifted over from the shop to the person, and then you want to cater more to the artist because you're like, well, I want good artists, so I'm going to cater more to them and what I can give them, like amenities. So one thing I noticed when I traveled, I went to LA a year or so ago and worked at a shop that was owned by it's called PW Gallery, I think. Her name is Pony. And it was expensive for the day rate, but they provided everything.
But it's LA too, though.
It's true.
Right.
But also they provided everything. And that was the first time that I think I had guested at a shop that provided literally everything. I only had to bring my needles and my machine.
My iPad.
And my iPad, yeah, pretty much. But they had everything, ink, everything. And so I thought, wow, that's so interesting.
Did you know that beforehand?
No.
Yeah, because I've done guest spots and they show up. I show up and they're like, dude, we don't provide shit, bro. And I'm like, fuck.
Oh, really?
And they're like, oh, there's a. No, I don't want to shout them out or anything, but they're like, oh, there's a supply store like right down the street. And I'm like,
wow,
okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that kind of sucked.
Well, conveniently enough, there's a supply shop down the street.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, because with that shop, it was so beautiful, so clean, well organized, and she had like a manager that, I mean, you know, you have a shop manager, but she literally, her job was to reach out to artists, to offer them a guest spot, schedule them, give them a tour, show them where everything was, teach them how to use all the equipment, show them around, literally the whole thing. And I'm thinking, wow, this is like almost like a sales position.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's a private shop. So on top of that, you don't have to manage walk-ins, divvying up any clientele or anything.
Yeah.
It's just, it was so interesting.
Sounds
the concept.
Prestigious.
It was very, and I thought it was so nice, but also, I don't know shops like that. Like, I didn't grow up working in a shop like that. I just worked in the shop that I knew, and we took walk-ins and we had appointments. So I really like the idea of being able to provide, but also that's like a premium type of service.
That is premium because most of the time artists could kind of handle shit like that.
They want it on their own, yeah. So that's why with booth rental, I feel like depending on the price, you should get XYZ. And I've been through like so many different trials. Percentage, it was like when I first started, like 50-50. That was the general, any tattoo shop. Yeah. Nowadays, no, that's not happening.
No.
And then I would hear of people that even earned less than 50%. They would earn 40%.
I've heard 30%. Dude.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And then to go from that to then now I have more percentage, and then now we tried booth rental, and then the booth rental's too much. Like the first time that we tried booth rental was so much money, and then everyone was like going broke because there's just no way. And then after that we turned back to percentage, and then we went to another booth rental. So
are we talking about Forero right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, it's hard to manage that many artists and figure out a good sweet spot, because I know he was trying to make it where bills can be covered, and then also artists are not losing money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a very precarious position to be in.
It's very, yeah.
So like, I feel for tattoo shop owners, like agents specifically, having that many artists, it's a lot. But I wanted to avoid potentially like having that issue, and I didn't want to go back and forth. I was just going to commit to one thing and stay with it, and like, it is what it is. And I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, if it becomes like too little for my business, I just may have to provide less, I guess. But then I can, like, I would love to have a dedicated videographer or something that's just there making content all day. But the quotes that I get are thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm thinking, do you know how much I would have to charge them for that?
Yeah.
And some of them don't even want to be on camera. So then am I forcing them to pay for this amenity that they don't care for?
Right.
So that's when you have to, like, communicate with the artists around you constantly and say, like, okay, well, here's where I'm going to find a middle ground. You might not have everything, but you can pay your bills. And also, I know you can do this thing by yourself. And also, whatever you need for here, I'll take care of it. And I feel like that's where I'm at.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like, you might not get literally everything that you want, but at least it's not $1,000 a week or something. You know what I mean?
Nowhere's perfect. Everywhere has its,
but you
no matter where you work.
You find where it works for you, and then you just work there. It's not that serious.
I think that's why I haven't, like, jumped into owning my own business or, like, owning a shop and, like, kind of, like, not supervising, but, like, kind of, like, catering to artists, because, like, I feel like I'm just not ready to make that jump, and I don't want to make that jump. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure you're sacrificing a lot too.
Yeah.
Worrying for all your artists that are working for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's not your time, it's your mental health.
It literally. I mean, it's not to say that I don't care for them or anything. It's just when you take on any kind of management position in any job, hospitality, you're dealing with a lot of people and their opinions and their needs. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, literally overnight, you're responsible for feeding people. Mm-hmm. Like, when I opened the coffee shop, I went from just me, worrying about me, to now these people have bills, they have families, they have, whatever.
Managing people, it's not just the shop.
Yeah, and it would keep me up at night. Like, these kids are.
That's not to cut you off, but that's like a common thing I've heard about shop owners that care. It's like, dude, I'm fucking losing sleep, man.
I
like,
lose sleep.
I'm stressed,
I
dude.
do.
Wow.
Like, I've heard it from, that's why I'm working with Sean. Like, he genuinely cares about the industry and the artists that he has working under him. And he tells me from time to time, he's like, bro, I'm fucking losing sleep, dude. Like,
and it's hard because you don't want to, because one thing I also notice is, like, if you lose sleep, then you're stressed out. When you're stressed out, you're not in a good mood. When you're not in a good mood, you bring that energy into the business. So every day is a new day. I also work a lot on, like, so I need to have better work-life balance. Like, I'm literally 5 minutes away from my business and I'm there almost every day. So, I try really hard to now separate that so that when people have problems, they need help with something, I can approach it from a very separated perspective and unbiased. Because I care a lot about everyone, even my baristas. Like, I've become so close with everyone that sometimes it's hard to just, be the business owner.
Right.
And sometimes that's what they need. When they need answers, they come to you as a boss, not as a friend. Mm-hmm. So then you have to handle as a boss, not as a friend. And it makes it kind of hard sometimes. And you don't want to make the difficult decisions. Conflict is always going to be hard, but you, especially for someone who's naturally just, like, submissive like I am, to be in a position of power where you have to have confrontation, healthy communication, scariest thing ever. But I've had to do it now for so many years, like 4 years, that I've grown comfortable. And it's never fun, but sometimes saying, like, hey, I noticed that you leave this thing out every day. Like, back then, I used to I'd rather die.
If I could real quick, we were talking about The Office beforehand, and there's that episode where Michael has to, like, fire somebody.
I love that episode too.
And he tells Jim, he's like, yo, I want you to pretend to be me, and I want you to fire me. And so Jim tries to fire him, and he's like, I'm gonna kill myself. Dude,
that's so how
funny.
it feels, though.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you think about, like, should I open a shop, if you're not ready for those responsibilities that will definitely fall in your lap, then just don't do it. I mean, like, I think from an artist perspective, you have a lot of freedom to live your life how you want to live it. And unless you want to take on being the fallback for anyone else that needs help, If you're not a devoted helper, then management is not for you, because management is just making sure everyone is happy all the time. Like, my fiance has a totally different perspective. He's like way more authoritarian than I am. So it's just kind of like, these are the rules, you will follow them. I don't care who.
But he helps out in terms of managing as well?
On the coffee side, he helps me a lot.
Okay, so he's throwing in that authoritarian perspective as well too, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's like good cop, bad cop, because I so badly don't want to be bad.
I was going to ask, we got to wrap up here pretty soon, but I was going to ask, is there a difference in tattoo shop Barythaya manager and coffee shop Barythaya manager? Like, is there a switch up?
100%.
That's awesome.
I think they call it code switching. It's like 100%.
Which one's more intense?
The tattoo shop side.
Really?
I think naturally.
I thought you'd be more laid back, like scummy type, like I don't give a fuck, like, you know, I'm tattooing.
Yeah, but to me that's unprofessional.
Yeah.
But it's because so when it comes to the coffee shop side, they're my employees. Right. So I cannot treat them the same way that I can treat the tattooers.
Another tattoo,
because the tattooers, by nature, they're just like, you can't tell me what to do. And
thicker skin, naturally.
Yeah, and you've had to fight to have the career that you have.
Yeah,
like, you cannot just get into tattooing and it's all easy peasy. There's not one tattooer I know that's had an easy tattoo career. It's just not. And so, like, you cannot take away from them anything. And also to treat them like, one thing I've learned over the years is, do not mess with anybody's money. Don't mess with anybody's money. Don't mess with my money. If you're going to treat me that way, if you were to treat me that way, how would I react? Okay, I expect them to act like that. Okay? In the coffee industry, it is way more just like a regular job. People do their job. They're happy to be there. They go home. It's
a little bit more cookie cut.
It is. Yeah. It's very straightforward.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not so much a career, I guess, unless you're in leadership. Then it's a career and you see it differently. But if you're just there, like a lot of them are in college, they're there to have fun, they're there to make good drinks, provide a good atmosphere, and then they go home. And then everyone gets along and it's fine. Tattooers, this is their life.
Yeah.
You do not mess with their life. And so when we have, anything, like, I can be more relaxed around them. I can cuss around them. I try not to cuss around. I'm like way more professional around the baristas. Granted, I still make silly jokes. And one thing I've also learned is, no matter what, I'm always in a position of power. Even if I'm clocked out, even if I'm just Barythaya and not your boss, I am still your boss no matter what it's going to happen. Yeah. But even if I choose not to, that's how they will perceive you. So if I make a comment, then if it rubs them the wrong way, then I'm screwed. So thankfully, I'm not like that person. But I'm very careful about how I present myself literally outside of the studio versus in. I do feel a little bit more free at the tattoo studio because, being in a tattoo shop, you can just talk about anything, behave however, like...
Maybe like it's home base for you? You think that?
It's just a different side. But I will say what's different is I think I've grown up very proper, very professional, and very corporate. So it was harder of a transition for me to go into tattooing than it is for me to go from tattooing to corporate life.
Oh, dude, that's crazy, right?
I know. Yeah. So that's where I feel like maybe I do have a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah.
Because I've learned from being in the tattoo industry, especially being around old OGs like over me. They sometimes fall into the tattoo artist lifestyle, and once you live that every day, sometimes you forget what being in a regular like civilian life is like, and sometimes you're cussing like every other word, and sometimes you'll make a joke in front of a child that's just not appropriate. Sometimes you'll share a video that's just like way too much nudity, things that you lose touch with reality a little bit because everything flies, that you suddenly don't know how to talk to like a normal person anymore. And then when normal people come into the business and you say something, they're just blown away by the audacity. But it's not, like, that's why it's your duty as a tattooer to go touch some grass sometimes and be at a park or go to church or something where you're around other people that are not as like
tastes a little normal.
It reminds me of like Brissa. She was like telling me like when she goes out and does like her like everyday tasks and stuff, like sometimes she feels like she really stands out. Obviously being covered in tattoos and like waiting in line at the DMV or some shit like that. She's just like, it hits me like really hard right there. I'm just like, that goes along with what you're saying.
It's true. But I think that's also why I'm grateful that I have a fiance who's not in the industry, because before him my whole life was tattoo life, and then you get real comfortable and everyone is just like you, and all the things that you go and do is like tattoo stuff, and then you meet someone who's just like an outsider that they're like, you want to go play pickleball? And you're just like, whoa. Instead of like a paint night. You know, like for us, it's just like paint night, or let's go out to this place, and it's always super late at night, something like that, and then it's a huge transition. So now
that's facts.
And opening a coffee shop too, being around other people, like it's helped me acclimate, I think, and get back into just being just a regular person.
You have some grounding,
which is
ingredients
that
there.
it just makes sense as why you have the success that you have. Like I feel like there's not too many of those people in the industry, and you bringing that in is exactly what we need to keep moving forward.
Like normalize a lot of stuff.
You're a boss.
Well, thanks guys.
You're a boss, man. Really this is the first time meeting you, and like, you're awesome.
Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah, dude, you're incredibly well spoken. You're educated on what you're saying, and like I said,
your outlook on business, everything. Like it's just.
I really hope
cool.
so. I constantly reflect, like, am I doing the right thing, or did I say the wrong thing, or because I'm gonna say this, and not to sound lectury, but again, I know that's my habit. I feel like every single day, the mood that you're in, the energy that you bring, as much as you want to run from it, we're animals, and we all read each other's body language every day, all day long, even if you want to ignore it. So when you go into a business, if the energy or people's moods are in a bad mood, they sense it right away. It's very uncomfortable. You don't want to be there. So I constantly tell the baristas, you come in, you're in a good mood, you make a really good drink, they taste the drink. It's good because you're happy when you make it. You pass on the energy. And if you're not in a good mood, you don't make it with love. They taste it. They taste the coffee is 100%. Bad. And so it's same thing with bartending. Like you can just sense it. If the bartender's not in a good mood, now suddenly I don't like this bar. So it's the same thing. You bring the energy, you make it hospitable, and sometimes you'll sacrifice your ego and your pride, like you want to be someone that people admire, but sometimes it's not demanding. Sometimes it's submitting. And being a good, like someone that makes a good leader, in my opinion, is someone who does submit voluntarily to others.
Come on, yes.
Because then they feel like seen
right
and recognized.
That's true.
And then they want to do more, because if you feel heard and seen at the place that you spend every day, then you care. But if you're constantly told, no, you're wrong, shut up, or like your idea is stupid, or just rag on you, and then you just don't have the energy, and then you spend more energy like pushing off the bad thoughts, and then you can't even focus on the good, then you're just going to be mediocre at the end of the day, and it might not even be your fault, but it's just the environment that you create. So sometimes, like I've noticed with people, I've met every kind of person over the years. There are people that are able to just take it on the chin and keep it moving, stay positive no matter what. There are some people that only see the good, and then there are some people that also they can't shake the negative thoughts that they have, and it's really sad. Any little critique
is like you're giving them a hit to the jugular.
But that's also another thing, being a business owner, managing people. All you have to study people constantly. Some people like this way of confrontation. Some people absolutely cannot take it. Some people need to be given the whole context before you even have a conversation, and some people you can just walk up and say, hey, can I talk to you real quick? Every person is different, and once you figure out what they need, there's nothing wrong with them. They just need it in a different way. And then once you do that and everyone's happy, it's a lot of work on your end. But if you can manage to do it, then things will go well. But it just takes a lot of submitting to the people around you, instead of like, I'm the boss, you have to do what I say or else,
Man, to our point, you're a boss. You're awesome. I mean, just you taking the time upon yourself and taking it upon yourself to look at your business that way, look at staff that way, look at just how that's how it should be.
Yeah,
says so much about you for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're a great asset, impact on the industry, and I think that it's only putting us on the right trajectory.
That's good.
So, yeah.
I want that because I do worry for our industry a lot sometimes. There's too many factors now.
What are your thoughts on, dude? I know we're running over a little bit,
Sorry,
but
I'm sorry.
But one of the things that's like threatening to a lot of people is this AI thing going on. How do you, as a realism artist, what are your thoughts on AI? Are you using AI at all?
Okay, I don't know how to use AI.
Oh,
Okay, I don't know.
oh shit!
I don't know how to use it.
What?
And
what the fuck?
And in stark contrast, my fiance almost cannot do anything without it.
Dude,
Like,
I can't imagine being where I'm at doing what I'm doing without AI, dude. Like,
That's
it
so
is
funny.
literally the greatest fucking tool ever.
I know, I hear that a lot.
Dude.
And I think
It's a
I'm
big
just too
controversy.
busy to sit and teach myself. Okay, I think because back before I left Fallen, there was something called Midjourney, and they were using Midjourney sometimes, some of the artists, and I would watch them, and I think literally what happened is I tried to get the membership, and it wouldn't accept my card, and I was like, F this.
Fuck. And that was around the time that Midjourney was running on Discord, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also don't use Discord. So then I was like, what is this foreign website? Then I'm on this thing called Midjourney.
And the website
then
looks so crazy.
Yeah. And then it doesn't accept my payment.
Oh,
F
God
this.
damn.
So then everyone else is like, cat with sword. And I'm just sitting there like,
to me, I was like, wait a minute, I could generate photographs that nobody else has access to. What?
Okay.
We're not going to see the same faces. We're not going to see the same roses. We're not going to see all the same images.
can I say something really crazy?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Not a single idea that I've had I feel like is original. So if I just Google anything,
You're selling yourself short already, dude.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
fuck
kind of
that.
feel
But
like, okay, the way that I was taught in composition, I think Legion and my friend Owen had done a seminar in the past. all
Owen
on
Paul?
composition. Yeah.
I was there. That's where I met you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that seminar,
Right.
they went over composition.
They did?
That was how I was taught. And
Okay.
so, like, everything is piecing pieces together and also trying to get as close to your original thought as possible and then just altering a few things so you work less, not as hard.
Dude,
And so, like, with AI...
I need to say something, but go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
please.
No, it's just that I don't know why people's idea of using AI is like, okay, you type something in and you're done. And that's not what it is. At least
Really?
that's not how I use it at all.
I think that's the thing.
That's the
Some
problem, that people think like,
yeah.
oh, you use AI, like you're not a fucking artist. But it's just like when we're creating these realism projects, we're copying and pasting, we're sculpting, we're taking a little bit here and there, kind of like how you were saying too. I do the same fucking thing, except I'm not going on Google, I'm not going on Pinterest, I'm not going on websites to find my references. I'm going on Midjourney, I'm going through ChatGPT and creating my references, but I'm still putting things together and creating that composition that I want. You know?
yeah,
and people
yeah.
don't seem to grasp that concept.
Yeah, I think also because ChatGPT is not perfect. So I definitely know what you're talking about because one of my coworkers does use ChatGPT. I mean, a couple of them I think do, but maybe not, maybe like for personal use. And then one of them I have seen use it for composition, but it's just for like the main focal, like cat with sword. And then you'll have like, you could write like cat with sword as a pirate. There's a ship in the background and it's an island. Like you could write that, but it's not going to be placed where you need it to be. And it's
Right.
not going to have the right, perspective.
Right.
So creating the planes and the perspective and everything, you know, you're in art school. So like getting it perfect, because that's what half of tattoo design is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen because the chat doesn't know what you want.
But you shouldn't. I mean, but at that point, you shouldn't be relying on ChatGPT to do it for you. Like, if I want a cat with a sword, I'm gonna ask for a cat. I'm gonna ask for a sword. I'm gonna ask for the island. I'm gonna ask for all that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hop into Procreate, and I'm gonna put it all together.
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
like, if you go on Pinterest and you ask for a cat with a sword, there's gonna be X amount, right?
Yeah.
You go on Google,
Yeah.
you're gonna be X amount. You know what I'm saying? Then you
Yeah.
kind of see a lot of those tattoos. But like, I feel like AI is giving us the opportunity to create all these references from scratch. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, okay, the other thing that I feel conflicted about, because, you know, me, artist rights.
Oh, here
it's
we
like,
go. Here
okay,
we go.
I feel guilty that if I support it, then I'm taking away from people that they literally like died for ChatGPT, for ChatGPT to make the art, because it doesn't make anything original. It's all pulled from other artists that didn't get compensated for that.
Yeah, but remix culture is something that's been alive in the art industry since the beginning.
And I think
you know what I'm saying?
Aspects of art.
In all aspects of
Music,
art, remix culture has been so like sampling.
Cocktails,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's just
sampling and hip hop. I mean,
that's true.
I think having this elitist mindset of like, oh, you're fucking stealing from artists, like, bro, even the most wholesome moral artist is stealing.
No one's reinventing the wheel. No one's reinventing the wheel.
And to speak on that too, if I may, to support the use of it, I think efficiency is something that we need to get used to and accept in tattoo artistry,
whether we want to or not.
Yes, it's just like sometimes clients, I think that we spend all of this time drawing from scratch when it just isn't the case. If that were the case, you're spending way more on the sleeve than because half of it is design, the other half is the actual application.
Right.
So you want this idea of a painting, but now I have to paint it on you, and sometimes they don't grasp that. If it's original artwork that I already made and you want it, okay, that's different. But for you to give me a prompt and then for me to create that for you within a certain amount of time that's reasonable, because if I'm doing it from scratch, you know, paintings takes 30 plus hours for a nice painting. I cannot do that for one person and tattoo 6 days a week and have 6 new people each week. Do you know how many hours it will take per project? It's just unrealistic.
Yeah, it's completely unrealistic.
100%.
So you do have to cut the time, and maybe it is working on Procreate and putting things together and then creating a piece of art for you that you say yes or no. And let's not even entertain the idea that, okay, they absolutely love it when they see it. What if they see it and they go, can you move this over here? Could you imagine I painted that for you or drew that from scratch? We just have to reschedule.
Yeah.
And that's just inefficient.
That's a really funny thing that I've also encountered too with clients too, like expecting me to like go ahead and like draw something and paint something. I'm like, you're hiring me to tattoo you,
right?
Not to paint.
They don't understand.
To draw, dude. Like, I'm gonna tattoo you because like a painter, they do all the same things, but then they end up painting.
Yeah,
and we do all the same things, and then we just tattoo.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? There's fine artists that do charcoal drawings, pastel drawings, paintings, and they'll Photoshop shit. Same way, you know what I'm saying? And then they sit down and then they fucking either draw it out, they pull out a projector, and then they get to work.
I had no idea that people use projectors, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I had no clue until I saw this one artist that I used to work with, and if he had a free day, he would paint, but he would just like project onto the canvas and then do the stencil. Essentially, it's a stencil, and then just paint on it. And I'm thinking this is just tattooing because the stencil's there. Because I had only learned oil painting with like your sketch beforehand, and it blew my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll paint anything.
There's I've had this conversation with Sean. He's like, "Fuck that! I want you to see you draw that shit on there and then paint it." You know what I'm saying? Like, it just really comes down to how much of an elitist you are.
So, hey, so we got to wrap this up.
We're having such a good conversation.
It's so good. We can go on and on. Just want to leave off with this.
Yes.
Where do you see XO, both coffee and tattoo? Like, what's next for you and XO?
That's a great question because I have no idea. I think I have so many new things happening for me in the next year that every day I'm trying to plan. But there are so many, my business just keeps growing, which is a great blessing. But at the same time, trying to pivot every single time. Also, like negotiating with my landlord. There's like a new landlord they just bought. Then that landlord just passed away. Now we're like in the hands of all the lawyers, trying to figure out who now will own the land, and it's like that is a scary factor because what if they just decide they want to kick everybody out? I don't know. And then after that, I have like my life. Like, how do I want to settle down? What does that look like for me? I've never had to think about that before. I think for XO as a brand, I'm really happy with it. I would love to grow it, but I don't think I want to franchise it. I think maybe a second location would be awesome, but I also am worried that it would water down like the tightness of the group that I have, because now, before, the tattooers would just stay with the tattooers and baristas with baristas, but now it's been a couple of years and now everyone gets along, and I'm like, wow, I really love this. It's like a shared house kind of situation. Two different atmospheres, two different understandings of life, really, and then everyone comes together and gets along. I love it. If I were to make a second location, I automatically am like, well, would I stay here? Would I go to the second location? Who would come with me? Would I be breaking up a family, that we've all grown together?
Those are so valid, dude.
And how far apart am I going to be? What if they need me here? Now it's easy. They just run in and ask me a question and go back out. But if I'm over there, now they need something. What do I do? I'm just thinking all of those things. But I know I probably wouldn't do more than 2. 2 would be my limit. And then after that, do I also, I don't know, do I tattoo through having children? Those kinds of things are realistic questions.
Yeah.
And I just would love for it to, I've learning how to delegate is a really foreign concept that I've recently embraced, and I think that's why the businesses have taken off, is delegating, and not being my hands in everything and spread too thin. And I think if I can master that, then getting over to a second location would probably benefit me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm looking to benefit. I think if anything, I would just want maybe more space for the artists and more storage, or more seating, because now I've taken a lot of square footage away from the cafe itself. So maybe a larger space.
Yeah, just expanding. Right?
Yeah, I could do that. I think maybe that would be really nice. I think cool. I'd be perfectly happy if I expanded to a larger space. But I'd have to look into what that looks like. And so far, I've now expanded my network to restaurant owners, bars, and stuff like that, and they themselves air to me that there's no commercial spaces now. People are holding on to their spaces. There's nowhere to up and move, so I don't even know what that would look like. I guess it's just a day by day kind of thing, and just trying to plan, and then if it works. And the good thing is, well, I guess the downside is, as a business owner, you incur all of these expenses, and you accumulate debt to start a business, essentially. But if I were to move locations, then what does that look like financially for me? Am I going to now re-involve myself into debt, or how am I going to manage that? Or how much money will I have extra to reinvest in my business and expand? All of those are just extremely realistic that I have to decide on before I can do more with XO.
Totally.
Because I want to do it right,
Yeah, I mean, sounds like
dude, you're on
it
path,
for sure.
Dude.
Thanks, guys.
No, do you have any last questions?
Who's somebody else you'd like to see on the show?
That's a good one.
Ooh, okay.
Pass the torch.
Does it have to be a tattooer?
No.
We have professors that are going to be on the show. We have animators that are going to be on the show. We have tattooers. We have painters. So
just anyone,
bar,
and also his side of the industry as well too.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great question. I'm trying to think of someone that I myself would love to just listen to them yap. Someone that's kind of mixing, that's in the coffee industry, that's mixing two things together. My friend Quay, he is a famous photographer, and then he opened Create Coffee, which is a photography studio and coffee shop, which existed before I had mine. But then he opened a second location, and then recently it's blown up a lot for having a DJ there. Nice. That is something that I would not personally do, because I'm a very chill kind of person. Having a DJ when I walk into a coffee shop, it's a lot.
I would hate something like that, in my opinion. Not coffee shop, but when I go to I don't know, a restaurant, there's a DJ. I'm I was not expecting this.
Yeah. Bro, have you ever been to STK?
Yes, I have.
Oh my God.
And
I had no idea what the MO of that place
Here's
was.
your ribeye.
Oh my gosh. And you know, it's so funny. I went in there and then it's like other tattooers and then it's like club music and everyone's wearing sunglasses. It's nighttime. And I'm like, why are you handing me this extremely expensive steak with sunglasses? And like, you don't even want to be here.
I need to see your pupils, bro.
And then it was so loud that I literally went up to the DJ and asked the waiter, could you change the music? And I'm not that person.
No.
But I just thought, why are you playing like...
Hey, that girl at table 6, kick her out right now.
Yo.
She just told me to put
Overcook
the music
her
down.
steak.
No, I hate that I did it, but at the same time, I just did not understand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're at Disney Springs. Like, what is this?
I was just
Yeah.
about to ask, was it
Isn't
the
this
Miami
family?
location or the Orlando one?
No,
Dude, that's
if it's
funny.
Miami, it's like, okay, I kind
It's
of
understandable.
understand.
Yeah.
But Disney Springs, and I had no idea what SDK was. I just heard it was a steakhouse, and we just went, you know. And then all of us at the table were like, what the hell? And then I went on the website because I'm like, what is this experience? It's a surreal experience.
I need to understand.
The
what's going on.
website literally said providing a club experience to your
Oh.
steak.
That's crazy.
And then I thought, well, I fucked up.
Was that like an outing for the shop or something?
It was like our friend, it was a friend tattooer from New York came and
Oh, okay.
guested, and then we just went out to dinner.
Gotcha.
And I just like went with them, and then that happened, and I was like accosted by this pit bull while I'm eating a $200 freaking steak, and I'm thinking like, the steak is so good, but the music's so bad.
Dude, they should say steak club, not steakhouse.
They
right?
should.
Dude.
Or
That-
maybe steakhouse has a new meaning.
Yeah.
Genius.
Damn.
Oh, that's so good.
King of the puns, baby.
Yeah, that was really good. That was really good.
Barythaya, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Dude,
this
Yeah,
was
of course.
really insightful and awesome conversation.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. Hopefully I didn't yap too much.
Dude,
No.
you were fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Dude. Like I don't think
Amazing.
this couldn't have gone any better, dude.
yeah.
So
Heck yeah.
yeah.
Surpassed any expectation
Yeah.
I had for our first guest.
Did I set the bar very high?
Very high.
Yes.
I feel
Yeah,
bad
so
for all the
watch
next.
out.
Yeah, I feel bad for all the next guest, dude.
Score.
Queen.
Thanks, guys.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Well-
such great hosts.
Official first guest for
Yeah,
Noodle Soup
right.
Show.
Cheers.
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 Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Huzzah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And
Smash.
yeah, smash that shit. And
That's
thanks,
a wrap.
guys. Yeah. Have a good night.